This is just going to be a short video showing the making of a mallet when you're in the field and you have a chainsaw handy. If you don't have a chainsaw handy, you can do this without it using a bow saw and wood chisels, but because I wanted to get things done a bit quicker because of the weather and other time factors, I used the chainsaw. So I'll take you through how I did it. I started with a fallen tree that was at a good height, so it was easy to work with. You don't want to really be working with a chainsaw close to the ground, like say where that piece of wood is there. You want to be working off the ground by about 2 to 3 to 4 feet. Once you've done that, you basically start on making the handle first, and once you've made the handle as best you can, then you just cut it off. You don't cut it off first then try making the handle, because unless you've got a workshop with a vise, it's incredibly difficult and dangerous to carve a handle with a chainsaw while it's off from the main bulk of the fallen tree. So that's basically what I started with and how I worked it. It worked quite well. I wish I could have shown a video of me making it, but I didn't have any tripod handy, so basically I had to just do it off camera. You want to wear protective clothing as best you can, at least some gloves like this. I wore some chaps, which basically have Kevlar armour inside, so if the blade dings it, if the chainsaw blade dings it, the Kevlar weave just wraps it up and neutralises the chain. You don't have to wear these. Some people don't wear any PPE, but it's always good. I'm a beginner with chainsaws. I'm just learning as I go along, so I like to take precautions and take it easy. Anyway, so that's the first stage. The second stage may not apply, but basically for the second stage, if you've cut if the wood you've cut is from a live tree or one that's very recently fallen over, which in the case of the fallen tree I used was a live tree very recently, you'll want to dry it off, because working with wet bark is quite difficult. I'm not rushed for time on what I need to do next, but so I will be drying this in the sun over the next few weeks, and that'll just be drying out the wood a bit. Right now it's very green wood, so it'll dry a lot quicker than had it been attached to the main tree. So your next stage is basically to dry off the wood. If you've cut it from a dead tree that's not rotten, then lucky for you, you don't have to do stage 2, you just jump straight to stage 3. Stage 3 will be crafting the mallet. It's not essential to do this, but it is quite helpful. This is usable in a very rugged form. I've got a rough hand grip there, but it's not very decent. By the time you've reached this stage, you've basically removed all the outer bark, and you can start to remove some of these knots that can be quite troublesome when you're using a mallet. And basically I just used a hatchet like this and just carefully trimmed away. Some of them were quite difficult, some of them were easy. This isn't a very sharp hatchet, I ought to sharpen this, but so far it's doing the right job. Normally I'd wear gloves for this, but as I'm at the end point and I'm not giving it great big swings, I'm not too fearful of damaging my fingers. And because it's still green, it's still a bit reluctant to peel, but that's basically what you start to have by stage 3 of it. Some people might even want to put protective coating on this, but this is just going to be used for rough and ready work. It's fairly heavy. You can use it one-handed, you can use it two-handed, but that's basically how you craft or hew a mallet from raw wood, rather than going to Harbour Freight or any of the other places that charge an obscene amount of money for basically a mallet. Hope you've enjoyed watching. See you on the next video. The adventure continues.